2016 Hot 6 GSL Season 2 Code S.
What is up, guys? I'm Tasteless, joined with Wolf today as we continue on the saga of GSL Code S Season 2.
Yep, it's going to be a great day. We're in Group F here. We're more than halfway through the round of 32. We've got 3 Terrans and a Zerg here tonight, Tasteless, so we're going to see a lot of TBT.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Rogue is our Zerg. I would say that even though it seems like Zergs have been having a little bit of a tough time, at least so far, in this GSL Code S. Who knows how it's going to end up at the very end. I mean, let's never forget what happened with Fruit Dealer when everybody thought Zerg sucked back then, and then he managed to win. But he only has one matchup to practice for, ZVT.
Exactly, so he's only focusing on one matchup in this group. I love his pose he's got there. He's starting
come at me. Come at me, bro.
He's starting his run off against Alive, by the way, who's shown us some great matches this year. He's really back in full form. And don't forget Dream, who's somewhat of a kind of a forgotten Terran. He looked really strong in 2015, but has not been his best year. He made it to the round of 32. Well, he wants to stop, or he doesn't want it to stop his run here.
Yeah,
and I think it's the real story is how good is everyone's TBT for these 3 Terrans.
That's the big question. If you're a Terran player and you would like to brush up on some TBT, this is the group to keep an eye on. We got 3 different Terrans, 3 different histories, 3 different play styles. It's going to be interesting. Obviously, no matter what, we have one move on, but there's a high chance we could get 2 Terrans escaping this group here tonight.
Yeah, very high chance of that. No Zergs have advanced past the round 32. 0 Zergs.
This is a problem. I'm getting more and more anxious as this tournament goes on. I'm like, well,
are they ever going to make it? You know,
all the Zergs are grayed out at the end of on our screen at the very end when we show the results. Unfortunately, so.
Well, when you take a look at Rogue's most recent results, you can see he lost to, first of all, Bunny. Okay, that's kind of an unfortunate loss in this matchup. That's kind of a bad sign, but winning over Joxy, losing to Gun, but also to Alive, who he faces first in this group. It's definitely going to be a tough group for him. This might be the group where Rogue doesn't make it out. There was the Queen buff recently, the Spore Crawler changes, of course. That buff didn't happen before a lot of the Zergs fell out of this tournament, so at least he has that going for him in a group where he's playing only one matchup. But I don't think it's going to be easy for him to get out.
Yeah, let's find out. TBT, by the way, has been developing a lot. We're starting to see the Cyclone get incorporated in these pretty cool, unique ways. I'm not sure what to make of that or if that's going to stay around. It seems, especially with pressure builds, to be quite good. Typically, the Cyclone is used to kind of zone out any kind of drop coming at you, anything like that. We'll see when those games start up. But first, we got an interview with our player to see what their thoughts are before tonight's GSL Code S.
토스 원래 좋다 이런 느낌. 다른 조에 비해서는 그래도 그나마 할만한 조라고 생각해요. 열심히 하면 올라올 수 있을 거라고 생각하고 있어요.
마음 편했고요. 저그라서 나쁘지 않다.
너무하다는 생각이 일부러 이렇게 만든 건가 싶기도 하고 저 떨어뜨리려고 짠 대신 같은데요.
저그가 너무 쓰레기 종족이라서 저그는 이길 것 같아요.
다 그래도 비슷한 것 같은데 그렇게 막 잘한다고 생각하지 않거든요. 근데 요새 또 폼이 약간 많이 죽은 중혁이를 제가 이길 수 있을 것 같아요. 중혁이.
한희석 선수까지는 제가 이겨볼 수 있을 것 같아요.
1차 상대가 제일 만만한 것 같고요. 아무래도 실력적인 부분이 아니라 요즘 밸런스가 테란이 저그를 좀 압도살하는 밸런스라 가지고 이런 말씀을 드리는 거고 선수 말고는 중혁이 정말
저는 당연히 우승이고 16강 진출하게 된다면은 우승 가능성도 있을 것 같아요.
우승이 마지막 남친 우승 몸돌리고 있어요 지금.
지난 시즌에 8강 했으니까 4강 결승 우승해야 될 것 같아요. 왜냐면 블리즈컨 가려면 포인트가 좀 딸려가지고 우승을 목표로 할 생각이에요.
16강 올라가는 게 목표고요. 좀 소박한 것 같지만 제가 좀 올라간 지가 좀 오래돼서 올라가야 될 것 같고 그 다음부터는 아마 잘 풀릴 것 같아요.
이석이 형 조시우니까 연습 많이 안 했으면 좋겠어.
정여사 너도 알겠지만 테란이 저그한테 굉장히 좋아서 아마 준비하는데 스트레스를 받을 거야. 우리 조에 테란이 3명이다 보니까 다 각자 다른 스타일이니까 준비 잘 해서 오면 좋겠고 저번처럼 화는 내지 마라. 좀 형이 무섭다.
정원이 형 산산해주세요. 중혁이가 보는 거예요. 중혁아 너는 이긴다.
You know, it's kind of funny. Historically in the GSL, we have players oftentimes griping about their own races, and this is the one season where, like, the Zergs are losing Summit and Terrence are like, yeah, we're having a good time stomping these Zergs.
You know,
it is...
everyone is so honest about it as well. You know? Everyone's like, yeah, well, sorry, Rogue. It turns out you were born the wrong race.
It's brutal, man. Like people, because the pro gamers know it's better for them to show up. There are some Zergs advancing, and we aren't having that here. Rogue has had an interesting year. The year before this, he was in fantastic shape. He was in really good form, and he's had a lot of ups and downs. He's beaten some very good players, and he has these days where he's a monster. He's just killing his opponents, and then he has these days where he's just lackluster. He might have a good start, but can't finish it out. Sometimes he just falls apart immediately. Rogue is like not the avatar of Zerg.
Yeah, no, he's
currently in 2016, and I want to see him do well. For God's sake, I want a Zerg to get through, man. I don't care who it is, but I don't know if he's going to be our guy tonight.
I don't know if he will be either, to be totally honest with you. He's not even able to keep a stable position on Jin Air's roster right now in Pro League.
That's true.
Let's talk about Dream for a minute here. Dream's best accomplishment ever was actually going to the finals of Season 1 of Star League, the very first SSL season, where he lost in Terran versus Terran to Maru. But I do believe Dream's TBT is incredible. It's really good.
I think he might have the best TBT here tonight.
Yeah, and he lost to TY last season in a TBT matchup. That knocked him out of the GSL. But he looked very impressive against TY. He made it look like a very even series, even though TY is considered by many to be the best Terran in the world right now. So do not count this guy's TBT out, and I think he's one of the big favorites to get out of the group.
Who is this musician playing? Is this Sebastian?
I have no idea.
He finally released new music. This is good. I don't know. Somebody tweeted me. Somebody Shazammed that and tweeted at me. I can't only do so many things at once. I'm outsourcing this. And like, by the way, guys, tweet at me to do my laundry tonight. I got a lot of stuff I got to do that I can't do without you guys helping me. Here's a closer look at Ryang.
Yep, this is his first time in the GSL Contest. Now, I'm going to say this, a lot of people aren't going to believe me, it's true. First time in GSL Contest in 3 years. He was a great TBT sniper in the GSTL. A decent player once he moved into Pro League as well, but never big results, and it's been 3 years since he's been able to make it to the round of 32 of a GSL. That is crazy.
Now, he's an interesting player. This guy was mentored by Slayer's Boxer. If you didn't follow StarCraft from the very beginning, Slayer's Boxer was the original Korean best player. He kind of became a mega celebrity out here, and then when StarCraft 2 came out, he formed his own team, handpicked a couple guys, and Ryang was one of them. And Ryang had a good run, but it has not been the dominant force. I'd say he's on one of the lower tier teams out here, MVP Chicken Maru.
That's right, and I think he lost a lot of his skill when he actually joined the Axiom team. He was one of the first Koreans to kind of become one of those overseas players that played in non-Korean tournaments, and that really hurt him because he wasn't on a Kespa team when Kespa took over. It was like really bad timing for him, so that worked against him in a lot of ways. Dream, on the other hand, was on MVP once a long time ago. Now he's on one of the best, most well-funded Korean Kespa teams. He has some of the best practice partners in the world, including Innovation, to train for TBT.
King Sejong Station is going to be our map. This is, I actually think, one of the best StarCraft 2 maps ever made. It's made for consistent, really interesting games. It's a map where you can, choose what side you want to try to take control of. Counterattacking is very good. Drops very strong. It's a good map, I think, especially for TBT. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this is going to work out. And it looks like that time has come as the countdown has started. This is Game 1, Dream versus Ryang in tonight's GSL Code S. In the bottom right, in the blue, he is
SK Telecom T1, Dream.
He's making the victory pose there.
Yeah. Confidence even in his photos.
And in the upper left, in the red, old school in StarCraft 2.
MVP Chicken Maru, Ryang.
We're seeing the evolution of this matchup quite a bit. We saw yesterday in Star League several TBTs. We're seeing people experiment with Reaper rushes. We're seeing Cyclone use kind of not necessarily always the standard for defending Banshee play. But we're seeing that gas first is pretty much the only way to go right now. So that's basically the way that Terrans are opening right now, even on two-player maps like this. And that's why the Reaper, 2-Rax Reaper is kind of coming back, because you can punish someone who has a late barracks if you could catch their first Reaper off guard. Dream big. Yeah, you're dream big if you want to see BCs. Pretty unlikely.
Excellent. Thanks for coming down, guys. Welcome to the studio.
Awesome art there. Hopefully see some
Can
BCs.
you draw? Do you have any ability to draw?
No, absolutely not.
I can't even do a stickman right. I'm horrible.
My circles look like ovals. I'm just not talented in that regard.
When I was a kid, I used to draw fish a lot. Did I ever tell you this?
No.
It's so funny. I don't know. I got into drawing fish, man. That was where my skill set was at.
Are you talking about the fish, those like the X, and then you go around the little loop and you do the one dot?
Yeah, I used to draw that for my family. A little collection of fish drawings are somewhere in my family's house.
I was much simpler. I drew the V's from birds, like very consummate V's.
I didn't know you could simpler than that. You're like, well, what I would draw when I was a kid was squares, and I'm like, just squares of shape. You're like, yeah.
No, that's too complicated. It has 4 sides. I only do the V, just 2 lines. You keep it simple.
So, yeah, I mean, we're gonna have this Reaper opening. It seems kind of like a lot of times both players are just sort of forced to do this. You know, it would be good if one player didn't do this opening. Well, it'd be good for the guy that did the Reaper opening, but since they both do it, they can kind of poke in, and it allows the matchup early game to be a little bit constricted as far as options go for the other Terran player. And as you can see here with Dream, he's not even actually moving out. He's using this defensively to try to catch the Reaper here of Liang.
Oh, and we're going to see this Reaper jump in here. Scouts the factory. Is not very surprised about that. So, I guess you're not reinventing the meta. Okay, gets out, saves the Reaper. Leaves a secondary Reaper at home here to protect his CC that's building at the top of the ramp. And we do see it as a reactor to Hellion opening for Dream here, so he wants to get a little bit more ground control, whereas Ryung is getting a faster tech lap here, most likely will be doing a Banshee follow-up. So the problem, of course, for Ryung is he might not have enough anti-air early to deal with it if he doesn't save scans. He's going to need those scans for his Vikings, but I'm talking about Dream, of course, and the Dream will, of course, have the ground control with these Hellions, so Ryung might have to evacuate some SCVs at his natural if the Hellions come in and commit up that ramp.
Okay, so we have the Banshee coming up here. And the tech right now from Dream is actually going to be some Vikings here. So this could be a little bit problematic if the Banshee does get in there and get caught. Dream is now going to come out here and try to push. He's got 4 Hellions and 1 Reaper. And whenever you're doing any kind of tech like this into the starport, you usually do have this excess of minerals, which is one of the reasons why you see the Hellions and the Reaper out early on like this. Now, unless he gets a really good angle, I don't believe he's going to be able to get up that ramp. But let's see if we have some kind of really premium damage done here. No,
good reaction here by Ryung. It looks like basically Dream was trying to bait him down the ramp and get his units to stack up, because that's kind of the pathing works in StarCraft 2, and maybe get a lucky grenade that kind of knocks him into a bigger area where he can lock that down, but it didn't happen. We don't actually see Cloak for the Banshee here, and in fact he's switching over to Raven production, so it's just going to be a 1 Banshee harass.
This is kind of interesting that he would just get this Banshee, send it. I'm sorry, is this headed on the map somewhere?
Yeah,
am I not seeing it?
It's going down to the left side, or no, actually just straight in the middle. You'll see it in just a second.
No, I see it now. Sorry.
He avoided the Reaper, it looks like. I think that's what the observer's trying to show, is he was able to dodge that Reaper, which was looking for the Banshee.
Still, though, if he comes out here with this and it gets caught and he loses it.
Oh, he's going to even maybe use it to save this Reaper.
This is pretty cute. Okay, so he's not going super aggro with this. I was actually a little bit worried about that if he were to come across the map, because when you spend that much money on a unit that can't hide, can't cloak, can't get away, and then you lose it. I mean, that's pretty bad. So good on him. He's going to go ahead and stay back here. This 1 Reaper's to come in here and see if the makeup of the army at the entrance, which is usually a good place to check in on, has changed at all. It's just some Hellions and Marines.
And it looks like we're heading into a mech versus mech TVT here, and the reason why we see this so often on this map in particular is you can take 3 bases so easily, pretty much in all matchups, but in the Terran versus Terran, really easy to hold on to that 3rd base. Even taking a 4th base gives you a higher ground, a location you can siege from. So it's pretty easy to get 4 bases, stack up your gas, and build an expensive mech army. And in a sense, Dream is already ahead in that regard, because he did not commit the gas to this Banshee or the, basically the production time of the factory to make that add-on. So he has more Hellions, just slightly, but you can see that in the army supply, 42 to 36 right now. So he just has like a slight lead in composition, and because he has more Hellions, he's committing to the Blue Flame first, and actually, Ryung is switching it, going for Stim.
Do you see that Reaper actually go in there and poke, and then right when the command center started, it ran away? That's too bad he didn't actually kill that.
Yeah.
That would have been a nice delay. I'm a little bit surprised even to see Dream make that on the low ground. Obviously, if you lose that, you have to remake it, which is a total headache.
Yeah.
Ryung, on the other hand, is floating his command center right now over here to this top corner.
Yeah, and this is kind of going back to what I was talking about earlier about the third base being so easy to take. And I think he was under the impression he was up against Mech. This scan actually doesn't give him any more information about what Ryung is doing because it just kind of misses the barracks there and it just sees a few tanks and only one Marine, which isn't enough information. So right now, Dream doesn't really quite know what he's up against. And he's trying to use this Hellion pressure to kind of figure it out, to kind of ascertain what the unit composition is, what you're saying, the makeup of the units, which is really important to know in a mirror matchup. Ooh, look at this. This Reaper's going to come in and deny the CC. It's not finished, and he's going to get several kills.
That's what I was talking about. I don't know what the advantage of making that down there is, and especially with this army moving out right now. I mean, Dream's going to actually have to do a good amount of damage with this attack and try to recuperate down there. Now, it may not look like this is the scariest push in the world because you can only hit the gas, but it's actually a pretty big deal. Taking out the ability to mine the gas and the few minerals in this little corner, that's actually pretty huge.
Yeah, it's very significant. Now,
okay, here we go.
Ryung has air control here, and this is not good for...
Are we going to point defense drone?
He needs to. He needs to. It's a game of chicken right now. Who drops it first? Because he can't move.
We got one guy on the team, MVP Chicken Maru. That's right.
Oh, the Banshee here as well, actually. Oh, he's on move command, and first shots fired here for Dream, and he's going to win this battle as a result.
Yeah, really good call there by Dream. And actually takes a Cyclone out as well. Now, because we have just a limited number of bio here, they're not able to really properly cover that area. Oh, my God, and Dream coming in here and poking again.
Oh, Dream. Oh, these units are stacking up. He needs to be careful about that. Tanks on siege. That's not going to be helpful in the defense while they're unsieged.
I know, right?
He's starting to get such a tempo advantage. He might actually be able to do some real serious damage here. I mean, I'm talking game-ending damage. He's in position.
I think he might be right, actually. I did not believe this was going to get this far along here, but he's actually starting to deal that much damage. By the way, a quick aside here. At the bottom of the map, we do see Dream has a base back up at the third. So the question is, can this push actually break him? He scans, decides otherwise, and backs up.
It's hard for him to get those awkward Hellbats. You know, they kind of waddle. They don't move very quickly to advance to the front lines here. They are, of course, tankier. But with the setup that Ryung has, it's very difficult for Dream to push any further. So this was almost a crisis where Ryung would have lost too much position, but he's able to just barely maintain control of his ramp, which is the most important thing in TVT because that's where your reinforcements come.
Yeah.
If your opponent controls your ramp with siege tanks, you just can't reinforce your army.
Yeah, and if you can ever get into a point in time where you can cut that in half, it's hugely problematic because then you can actually isolate one part of the army and start to attack at that expansion. But I also like how Dream is staying really mobile. The moment he realizes he's probably not going to be able to do any more damage, he just backs up, which is good because the longer you stay in a setup like that, the more time your opponent has to try to engineer some kind of an assault over in that area and then reclaim it for themselves. Now, the spotting barracks over here, it's kind of funny. We're talking about how we see the barracks when mech games used as like a scouting overlord in Brood War. Well, we would have it in this case here as well in StarCraft 2 because right now Dream is meching.
Yep. And he's going to get a lot of harass damage on no defense here whatsoever. He's abusing the fact that he saw Ryung move out. And Ryung does have a mobile army. He just doesn't have a defense. And he loses vision control here as well, so he's going to lose several siege tanks as a result. And these Vikings need to stay back because the air battle is won by Dream. And he's going to keep up this harass now going to the main base. A little bit, some of these SCVs.
Yeah, a little bit too late there. But it's still going to be enough to force the SCVs to evacuate. Now, he's going to get these medevacs set up. He's going to drop on top of those tanks. Luckily for Ryung, he is already evacuating that location there as well. Still, though, Dream doing a really good job keeping the army busy here. Eventually, Ryung guns down that medevac.
And this is something that you can tell the sign of a better player when you see the bio is by far the more mobile composition. We have this Viking fight here again in favor of Dream. He has a much more mobile comp, but he still can't find harassment damage. Look at what Dream is doing to the bottom left. He has a center tower that's not protecting anything. It's just giving a wide area of vision because the only thing he's afraid of is medevac drops of bio, which Ryung isn't even able to try here because he's put so much pressure on Ryung's army. He needs every single unit to defend.
Honestly, when I look at this, I just feel like Dream is tactically better.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say. I mean, you could see he's picking these fights everywhere. This might be one of the bigger and more important battles. Ryung sets up on the high ground. He does have control of this over here. But the real story is just this drop that continues to do damage to these workers. That's 5 killed so far, and the medevac is still there doing the damage it needs to do. He flies in a little bit further to spot for this tank. And I think he's going to eventually be able to drive this out.
Yeah, he can actually drop on this bio soon. He's almost ready. Like, he's almost got enough. Yeah, it's actually disappointing that Ryung can't defend this one medevac with all the Vikings he's built. And he's not even trying to contest air control. He just still can't deal with this drop. This is an unreal amount of damage Tasteless that he's sustaining.
It's kind of crazy, right? Also, Dream relocates again. Excuse me, now he's going to go back to his initial position, but you can see he's trying to stay mobile here. This is easier said than done. He has to make sure he has those Vikings in the right spot. He's scanning at that distance since Ryung is on the high ground. If he loses vision of that for just a second, you can siege up and start to destroy your opponent's tanks. Ryung is, I think, has actually situated himself in a little bit more of a comfortable spot. He's now actually ready to defend from a drop. For instance, this one right up here.
Finally he has these Vikings in position. He's had them this entire time. He's just been so flustered by the real hard pressure that Dream is starting to put on here. It's almost like a soft contain. He's pushing forward here.
Yeah, he just keeps rotating between these different low ground positions. Now, might actually be the big battle, and he's going to boost through here, and he drops only for a second and picks back up. Now, as long as Dream is in this spot, that command center that it looks like is going to land probably shouldn't land at all.
Look at this. This is the first drop Ryung attempts, and by this time in the game, several turrets in place. He has a lot of units reinforced back at home to defend it. And Ryung once more struggling to keep his SCV line safe. And if you look at the worker count, it's dead even, but that means that all the units that Ryung has lost this game he's had to replace, which costs him a lot of money. And he's going to lose even more here, it looks like, if there's good targeting. And there it is. 3 more SCVs dead, maybe more than that.
Yeah, a lot bruised there as well. And he might actually send this medevac over there. Gosh, it really is Ryung taking blow after blow after blow.
He has no grasp on this game. Like it's totally controlled by Dream. It's almost like he's waiting to die or something.
This whole map is like a haunted house. Dream is the ghost, man.
Yeah.
It's like everywhere he goes, it is like nothing but misfortune is happening. Oh my God!
And this is a big fight. This is the game-winning fight here for Dream.
I believe you are correct.
Too many Hellbats in the front lines. Way too many siege tanks in the back. I think he has to concede here.
I think that's the game. Yeah, I think you're totally right. That should be the game ender. He can actually just leapfrog the tanks over here, like he's doing right now, and just plant them down there. And that's really it. If Ryung doesn't hold this base, I think Ryung essentially has to tap out. This command center goes down, and I think we will see GG.
I think that's the GG scan in the middle right there. Yeah. Yep, there they are.
That's the scan you make. You're like, how bad am I losing? You're like, oh, really bad. He's got that base too? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think he's frustrated. He's trying to get his thoughts together before the second game here. Okay, this isn't going to work. Stimming into the siege tank line. He gets crushed. And that should be game over. I expect he'll type out GG.
All right. I actually thought that was going to be a little bit closer, but Dream is damn good, man. He's a really solid player.
Yeah. And you know, Ryung was once most famous for his TVT. But I think this tactical regimen of training that Dream's had now for several years on SKT has really just pushed him to be a top-tier Terran.
Well, it's just difficult to compete against something like that, you know? It really is.
I think the better composition by far is the mech composition on this map as well. And I thought we were going to see Ryung go into that, but he decided to go stim. He decided to go into the bio. It looked like he was leading into down a path that could go either way, but it was most likely going to be mech. I think mech is just too strong on this map. You can't really ignore it. And now we're going into Frost, so another big map. This one 4-player though, so the game probably won't be that one-sided from the outset. Dream got such an edge that he just kept rolling with it. He had a big tempo advantage. That's not going to happen as quickly on Frost.
Yeah, he was getting his jabs in there super early on. I really enjoyed what I was seeing there. Ryung, though, I got to say, I got the impression that Dream was bigger, faster, stronger, like in every way. He just had a better understanding. Hopefully we can have a better game here from Ryung. Let's see what happens in game number 2. Over here in the blue, he is
SK Telecom T1 Dream.
Keeping the dream real in game number 1.
The dream is to be Dream, man. That's the dream. In the upper left, in the red, down 1 game.
MVP Chicken Maru Ryung.
You know, one thing I wanted to go back to in that game, Ryung had at several points 4 to 8 Vikings, and 1 medevac with 2 Hellbats consistently got damage. I mean, I'm talking, in total probably 20 SCVs died from 1 medevac, and that was just inexcusable damage. He also was losing the air battle, so the fact that he has Vikings over his tanks wasn't even helpful or useful, and that was, I think that was really the turning point that allowed Dream to push into the kill zone where he was starting to do just critical damage. And look at this, we're going to see a 2-Rax Reaper opening, it looks like, from Ryung. This is coming back into the meta because so many people have decided that gas first is the only way. And you can punish people for that because they don't have as many units. And if you kill the first Reaper, you can snowball it with your 2-Rax. And sometimes you can just straight up win the game or get a huge advantage.
We've also seen some 3-Rax Reapers as well in play here, which is kind of interesting. It's interesting, to what you were saying earlier, Wolf. It seems like those medevacs with the Hellbats were doing so much damage. Thanks for coming down to the studio, guys. Welcome. It seemed like they were doing so much damage because we had we had Ryung uncomfortable to move his Vikings away to try to chase that because he might lose that position with the push that would come in. At least it seemed to me. But that's the difficulty of it, is a good player can actually be in your face in one place on the base while doing damage somewhere else.
And also, he could have simply added a turret. Just that alone would have helped him defend so much better.
I got a question for you. Do you ever think that MVP Chicken Mario, guys? That's actually their sponsor is a fried chicken and beer place.
I've actually been there. It's pretty good.
Is it pretty good?
Yeah, it's a pretty good.
I want to go down there and just be like, "Do you know who I am?" And I try to get free chicken and beer. I'm like, "You can bribe me with chicken and beer. I will be a biased caster." And people will be all suspicious because I'll have gained about 20 pounds on camera. I'll have gout, too. I'm just like, I don't know, Tasteless seems to be very biased towards these MVP players, and he also seems to be suspiciously diabetic. What is going on with him? It becomes the next scandal in esports.
This is the power of the 2X, by the way. He's even going to bunker with this. He needs to win the Reaper trade, though, and he fails to do so. And this is actually not going to be a good start with this push. And there's a Marine on the high ground here as well. Okay, this is the scariest part for the Blue Terran here, but he gets the kill. And this shouldn't happen when you're going 2X Reaper, and he loses this fight, and Dream is now massively ahead in this game. He has a CC up much faster. He got the kill there. He has the better tech.
Okay, look.